Okay, they all do it, right? Oh, we've got Jenna jumping in.
Not even. Like, I just saw your link. I didn't. What are you even talking about? Like, I just jumped in.
We just do a free for all.
Yeah. I talked about Madonna for a little bit.
I think we got to lean.
Yeah, I get it.
We got to do the lean. Hey, Jenna, how's it going?
I've been, like going into turkey comas, like, for the last couple of days. I just finished my deviled eggs.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I made them. That was the first dish I started cooking, and it's the last dish I finished.
I've always had a fear of deviled eggs. Like, just that.
Why?
Well, it's that, like, it's a hard-boiled egg, and then it has this creamed yolk thing that usually they would put some mix. Like, what is it usually mixed with? Is it mayo?
Okay, so it's egg yolk. It's a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar.
I don't know.
It is about maybe a half teaspoon of yellow mustard.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pinch of white pepper and a pinch of salt. I'm trying to think if I forgot anything in this. And mayonnaise, obviously. You got to put
the mayonnaise. That's why.
Mayonnaise.
I've always had.
You can add. I did it basic this time. You can add as long as you don't have vegetarians coming in, you can add bacon bits or celery or something to it. But I did it just standard, and you sprinkle paprika on top.
Because, I don't know if people know what mayonnaise is, but mayonnaise is raw egg whites with an industrial seed oil mixed into it.
But if you buy the store,
like canola oil, right? And they just mix it, and you're just supposed to eat that like that's a normal thing.
It's pasteurized. The store stuff is pasteurized.
Yeah, but it's mostly the oil, right? It's mostly whipped oil.
Yeah. No, it's just the taste has never worked for me.
Do you eat Caesar salads?
I mean, I eat salads, but I don't put mayo on them.
Well, Caesar salad dressing also has egg white in it.
Oh, gross. Well, I don't do the Caesar salad dressing. I usually do oil and vinegar is my usual go-to. Sometimes, there's I don't know. There's a few other variety, like blue cheese dressing's okay. But yeah.
I don't like salad, so I don't do those.
This is the Thanksgiving food criticism show. But I have eaten them before. Like last year, I tried them. I think, or the year before, or something. And I was like, yeah, it's okay. But definitely.
You're in North OC, right? You're kind of on Northeast.
We're in South OC.
Yeah.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. We're in what's her name's district? The lady with the billboard, the
whiteboard, Katie Porter.
Katie Porter. We're in Katie Porter's district.
Well, she doesn't live there anymore, you know.
Oh, of course not. Why would she? Right?
They're doing redistricting. You want to get down to politics? All right.
Oh, who's taking? How's her district being divided up?
Okay, so the proposed redistricting is they're going to split Irvine in half. And the section that Katie lives in is the leftist section, which is the western section of Irvine. They're going to put that in my district. So some of your left pockets that you had in 45, Laguna Woods is a left pocket, Irvine.
Laguna Woods?
Laguna Woods.
Left?
And they have 95% turnout, y'all.
Because 95% turnout in Laguna Woods?
Yeah, they do. Because it's all a bunch of old hippies. Have you ever gone to Laguna Woodstock?
No, but
I never heard of a Laguna Woodstock. That's really cool, though.
I've totally gone to Laguna Woodstock, and the person who invited me, I'm not going to drop names on this one, but got me high while I was there. It was absolutely a hippie fest.
That's cool.
Okay, well, maybe I misjudged the place because I've been there on business a few times as a nurse visiting some assisted living and nursing home, long-term care and rehab centers and stuff. And it just seemed like, wow, this is really yuppie, well-to-do, mostly white folks, right? It seemed very Orange County to me, very.
It is very Orange County, but I want you to reframe this in your head and really think about how communist it is.
How is it communist?
Because they formed their own city. They incorporated as their own city. They're enclosed in a gate, right? They provide all of their own services. When we went into the pandemic, they immediately started vaccinating all of their people.
Oh, okay. Well,
They actually have a lot of communist principles going on behind those gates.
Okay.
If we're living in this area.
Right. The gated thing doesn't necessarily align with like left to me usually in California. The gates are usually things that are involved in areas that are very right wing and just don't want the poors in their neighborhood.
Yeah, except for when Russia had that whole Berlin Wall thing going on, right?
Was that? Yeah, I guess that was Russia's thing. Well, I mean, yeah. But that was two right wing forces fighting each other, so it's not really a good example. Well, that's interesting. I don't know if we'll be in it. I don't want to get too specific about where we are. But that's, I'll have to look at it, how that shakes out. But did you know that there's an Anaheim high school whose mascot is called the Colonists?
No, I didn't, but I've been hearing this. I've been hearing about some of the northern Orange County stuff and how they need to keep change. They're like fighting to change a lot of mascot names and like auditorium names and stuff because they have Orange County has an ugly history. It really does.
They voted to keep it this year. They voted to keep it.
That's what I did too. I was like, what? He told me that.
So the Anaheim High Colonists.
Yeah.
Go Colonists.
Anaheim's bad. Do you guys remember a few years ago that LA, he was like a cop from LA, but he lives in Anaheim, and he fired his weapon for junior high kids because he was that get off my lawn dude, and they were crossing his lawn, and he literally fired his weapon at these little kids.
Oh my God.
He didn't get in trouble either. He was just put on like paid leave while they investigated. I don't think he got fired or anything.
If the standards that apply to healthcare workers applied to cops, we'd have like 10% cops left.
Yeah.
Like as far as being able to keep your job. Let me. We got Alex is saying hi, Jenna. Let's see. What do you say about?
Have you talked about the mixed bag that is are the two verdicts that we got this week with Kyle Rittenhouse and then the 3 lynchers?
I'm a little depressed about Rittenhouse. I knew it was going to happen though, so I've been depressed basically since I heard the Trump ringtone thing. I'm like, okay, this is a shit show. This is a farce. And the other one I'm happy about. Let's hope it sticks. They don't find some way to get to overturn it, right? So.
Oh yeah, I've heard that they're going to try and appeal, but I think that was like a give and take situation because you know how this goes politically. They have to give you a win when you get a loss because otherwise there will be riots.
Is it like coordinated? I mean, or are these just independent events with different juries and localities? Because they were both in motion.
I think this is kind of the advanced stage above what city planning is. I think this is like country planning, where you're like, okay, wait, hold up. If we do this, then we have to do that because otherwise we're going to have 3 days of riots in LA again and have to call in the National Guard. I think that they actually take that into consideration at this point.
I just don't know how you would coordinate that. Are they getting a call from the White House? Like, we need these guys to get convicted, and we want this guy to get off. Like, I think these are just kind of like, emergent out of the fucked up.
Everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows everybody. They're all networking. They're all networking.
Yeah. I don't know if I would go that. I mean, I just wouldn't put a conspiratorial thing on it. I think it's too much.
I wouldn't even call it conspiracy. I think it's basically picking up the phone and just trying to influence people.
Yeah. I mean, I know that judges and prosecutors and all that, they have a lot of control over how things work out, and there's a lot of deal making that goes on. That's certainly a thing, but I mean, these are in completely different areas, and it's pretty clear that one judge wasn't gonna convict Rittenhouse no matter what.
Yeah, he even had like Trump's intro song on it as his ringtone or something, right?
Yeah. He had that, and then just the whole trial was nonsense. I mean, the conditions he was putting on the prosecution versus the defense, that in any normal trial with a normal judge that wants to convict, which is 99% of the time, that it would be completely the opposite.
You know what's really crazy about that, though? You know what's really crazy coming out of that is that there's still so many people who purport themselves to be progressives who are actually defending Rittenhouse now, even now when it's very clear that like he's now running the actual media circuit to amplify himself as like a poster boy.
Yeah, no, I mean, nobody who defends Rittenhouse is a progressive.
Yeah.
And that includes Ben Burgess. Ben Burgess is a slug.
That includes Jimmy Dore. That includes the Convo Couch. That includes Lauren Steiner.
Yeah, we've already established. Everybody knows those guys are not progressive. I mean, unless they're themselves not progressive. That's the only reason you would see them as not as progressive, or pretend like you don't see that they're not. You know, I see the next shoe to drop as being Ben Burgess is going to be more obvious, and Kyle Kalinske is going to be more obvious, and they're both going to go the Jimmy Dore route. I think there's going to be more of an escalation in the like overt fascism kind of stuff. Unfortunately, it seems like every year it's getting worse, and there'll be a pushback against it, and at some point there'll be an inflection point where it'll either go one way or the other. So that worries me quite a bit. And I think a lot of that's being driven by social media and these companies, basically, who see extremist views on the right as both something they're sympathetic to and something that makes them money. And that's a secret sauce in the American psyche that could really fuck us up. So it's accelerating, you know.
Well, you know, it's interesting that you say that because Sam Cedar just did an episode about Chris Christie, either earlier today or yesterday. I can't remember when it was. And I think it is his co-host Anna Kasparian? Is that who is, or is that who, or is it?
No. Emma Vigeland.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, I get the two mixed up a little bit because I don't really watch these live streamers much. But they did a segment about how Chris Christie was like making the circuit, and he was like getting around to all of the major channels, and they were speculating that dude is trying to set himself up for another run for president, and that he's got to have a billionaire backer. And I'm watching this and I'm thinking, okay, when you watch somebody like Sam Cedar and Emma Vigeland, is that how you say her last name?
There's some dispute about the exact pronunciation of her name. I know she's said it, so that's the version to use. I'm just trying to remember exactly what she said the pronunciation was. It's like Vigeland or something. But she's also done like a weird like version of, not weird, but like an authentic like a version of it, of how it would have been spoken in the country that the name came from, that her family came from, which I don't think is the way that she would say it now, like normally, you know.
Like the American bastardized way of it. But okay, right. So Emma, I apologize for completely screwing up your name. So Sam and Emma were talking about how Chris Christie, clearly he's got to have like a billionaire backer behind him in order to get on all those shows so quickly, and he's promoting a book, and he's got like a serious messaging campaign where he's trying to pick up on the Trump talking points, but do it in such a way where he's like the working class middle guy from like New Jersey that's a little bit more relatable. And so they were pitching this. I actually shared this video, I think either on Facebook or my YouTube today, that is his marketing strategy behind what he's trying to do to set himself up for a presidential run. But what's amazing to me is I've been basically saying the same thing about Jimmy Dore, the Convo Couch, Nico House, and all of these other people, that they clearly have a financial backer as well. And people act like I'm freaking crazy when I say that. It's so clear.
I think that's been established. I think Posobiec is a conduit for a lot of the money. That's why it's like this weird relationship between him and Nico House, and you're like, why would these guys hook up, right? Like I know they kind of have similar values, but Posobiec is creepy and not very like relatable, right? And a white supremacist, like a clear, obvious white supremacist. But if he comes with a lot of money, and Nico's done projects with him, and he's talked about him very glowingly. Oh, Jack's always taking care of me. He's always treated me well. And I think there's an established. Somebody did a money trail with some of these groups. I can't remember who did it, but basically, there's money probably coming through Peter Thiel. And that goes through some front groups. Peter Thiel's had a lot of meetings with white supremacist groups, which he has hoped to control and use for his own ends, basically for the dark enlightenment bullshit, right? Which isn't very convenient for Peter Thiel, because I don't know if he knows this, but Peter Thiel's gay, I think, right? So Peter Thiel you're going to be on the train, man. Like, they might let you live, I guess.
He and Glenn don't care about that, though, because
they're not going to create a society that's inclusive of gay people.
I know a lot of gay people who are actually really far right, and it's because they value their bottom line more than their human dignity.
But they don't see where that leads they don't see where that leads when things conflagrate. They're not going to survive it.
I think honestly, it's a boomer thing. A boomer maybe, and the older Gen X thing, where they lived so many years having to hide their true identity that they're kind of used to it, and they're like, well, if I had to deal with this bullshit, why shouldn't you? Sorry if I'm not allowed to cuss, but no. It's kind of the same argument with why am I going to let the millennials and the Gen Zs get a free education and get reimbursed for their education when I had to pay it back?
Yeah, there's some of that, and then there's just like, I'm successful, I have money, and I align my values basically. I mean, when you're somebody who makes a whole lot of money, your highest priority in your life is making money, and so all your values are going to line up with whatever protects established wealth in investors' future. So that's all you need to align with all these groups, because the socially progressive, hard right-wing economic groups are pretty weak. They exist, but they're kind of niches. If you want to be hard right-wing on economics, you also generally, the energy is going to come from hard right-wing on social issues as well, right? That's where that combination of power happens. And so if you want a bunch of foot soldiers, you're going to send money to people like Trump, people like Posobiec, people like Bannon, like that's your army, right? How many left progressive on social issues, but right wing on economic issues do you have really to push those things? And he's not even necessarily left. He's just left for like his one narrow part of the rainbow, right? Like gay men. Like, I care about gay men. I don't give a shit about anybody else. I don't care about trans people. I don't care about black people. I don't care. There's all those people, right? Like a Glenn Greenwald, right? Comes from a wealthy family, privilege. Probably feels like he was born wrong, but he had to deal with it, right? And so he doesn't mind putting everyone else under the bus, for his own advancement. And Peter Thiel and these people just think they're a superior version of humanity that deserve to rule. They have the divine right of billionaires, right?
Well, I don't want to dominate your live stream, so I'm going to drop two more things and then I'm going to drop off, because also it seems like somebody's trying to interfere with my stream, where you got super robotic sounding there for a second.
Oh, sorry. No.
I don't think it had anything to do with you. People tend to, I've received interference before. I don't know what to say, but I'm going to give you two things. Peter Thiel, or Thiel. How do you say the dude's name?
I think it's Thiel. I feel like it's Thiel, but someone could correct me.
Okay, well, he's been giving money to Ro Khanna for years.
Yeah,
and he gave money to Gavin Newsom as well. But most of his most of his money goes to really extreme right-wing personalities. Another very interesting thing that I'm not sure if you know, because you said y'all are down here in South OC. Mike Cernovich lives in Laguna Niguel. I don't know if you know that. Mike Cernovich lives down here.
Well, we're not that close to Laguna Niguel, but yeah. I mean, it's probably like I don't know how far is Laguna Niguel, like a half-hour drive.
Yes, yeah.
Probably.
That's right next door to me, y'all. It's right next door to me.
Well, I mean, this place is full of reactionaries. I mean, I grew up here. I know it. I know the area. You know, it's obviously people want to like. There's kind of like a dichotomy between people who want to protect their own kids, regardless of their views, because they're their kids, and then the ones that want to disown them. But the entire culture is dominated by people that have right-wing social views, as well as right-wing economic views. Yeah.
I'm going to push out your live stream. I'm going to drop off so that you can do your thing, and I'm going to push out your live stream now.
Okay, cool. It's good having you, Jenna. Yeah. Take it easy. Thanks for joining us. All right.